So the winter time is the time when you slow down. It's the peak in time. So it's the season of the Cang, meaning to reserve or recharge. So people are like, well, I don't want to slow down too much. I'm going to maybe gain some weight. It's considered okay to gain some weight during winter. Now, over consuming alcohol and sweets during the holidays, I'm not saying that is the best thing to do, even though it's enjoyable. And if it's just one time a year, have fun. But normally, as your system is slowing down and trying to consolidate its energy, you will gain a little bit of weight in the winter. But just remember, you will most likely burn it off in the spring. So you've eaten a bunch in the fall, you've kind of got a little bear fat for the winter. Now you're more still, things are slowing down. Hopefully, you've maybe preserved some of your foods for the winter if you can. You can do that with root vegetables. I mean, you can even nowadays freeze apples or other things. That's what they do in the store pretty much as well. You can do canning. You can do pickling if you don't have histamine issues. Sometimes pickling isn't as good in that case. There's a lot you could do. Dehydration, dehydrators. You can always grow winter greens, especially like in California in some places, or if you have a greenhouse, you can still do that, or microgreens or sprouts. I'll talk more about those in springtime, but there's a lot of stuff you can still get going in the winter. Otherwise, people do fall back on grains and other dried goods usually around this time, and you can still do your meats, of course. If there's any reasons why you can't do that stuff, I'll talk more about doing more carnivorous things at the end here as well. So these are just some general foods that are considered awesome in the winter. Ginger, garlic. Yes, you can dry your garlic from the harvest in the fall and integrate that into all your different foods. And when I mean canned foods, I don't mean like store cans. I mean like maybe mason jar canning where you do it yourself. It's fresh and doesn't have a bunch of extra chemicals and preservatives and things like that in it. Ideally, you know. Limit cold and raw and damp promoting foods. So yeah, as much fun as it is to get ice cream in the winter, and there's your holiday yumminess, the alcohol and the sweets again. Yeah, well, it's just one time, 1 week. It's probably fine. But is it ever? I don't know. So kanji, I don't know if anybody's heard of kanji, but kanji is really cool. During the winter too, just like the fall, you definitely want to think about supporting the immune system. So, and if you've had a lot of gut issues too, like you don't feel like you assimilate food very well, or you have a lot of food sensitivities, it's possible you might tolerate a kanji. Now you have to be able to tolerate rice at a base level. I think I've seen some recipes that might use quinoa too, but you kind of just slow cook the rice overnight and you make this sort of watery porridge, and then you can throw a whole bunch of different stuff in it that you may want. So you might, for immune system function, put mushrooms in there or something like that. You might put these root vegetables in them as well. You might put some dates in there for sweetness, for sort of non-sugar sweetening. You can add some chicken stock in there. You can put spices in there if you like. I put some resources at the end that have a lot of kanji recipes. You can search for a whole bunch of them online. I think what's most fun with kanji is just to be creative and make your own and do what feels good to you and your body. If you're feeling really cold and you have a viral infection, put more warming stuff in there. It's fun. And then also you could just make soups and stews and different things like this. You can put ginger, green onion, garlic, all that good stuff in there too. Really makes it warming and really makes it tasty. And then teas, because there's like herbal tea, but the traditional word tea is really referring to the green tea family, Camellia sinensis. There's green tea, oolong, and black tea, 3 types. So green tea is really cooling, kind of non-adulterated, has the most antioxidants in it. Oolong is more neutral, sort of intermediate, and then black tea is more warming, energetically speaking, but higher oxidation. So depending on your constitution, you may do better with one or the other. And then of course, you can do herbal teas as well. There are plenty of herbal teas out there that are really tasty and yummy. Here's some examples. Chrysanthemum, used quite a bit. It's good for the eyes, especially, I think. It's also good for just acute colds and that kind of thing. It has a pretty nice taste, especially when it's combined with honey. And if you can get a local honey, all the better too. Local honey can be good for allergies, histamines, and you can get a lot of antioxidants in there as well. Ginger tea, of course, rose hips, vitamin C, a lot more than that out there. Just named a few. So yeah, and I mentioned here already how to eat through winter. I think there are some foods that are still available in the winter, like say mushrooms, for example. You might still be able to find mushrooms if you know what you're looking for, or you can grow your own mushrooms too. It's really actually not that hard. I've done that before. Otherwise, you could probably find them at even local farmers markets in the winter. So I'm a big fan of mushrooms, as you can imagine. Um, and then the dehydration, if you get a dehydrator, that makes this a lot easier. You can do that with a lot of different things. You can do that with your fruit harvest even, which is great. Canning's really fun with mason jars. Use glass. Try not to use plastic, metal, other things if you can help it. Pickling's really fun, even though, like I said, it's not always mast cell friendly or histamine friendly, but it's still fun. Wintergreens are really exciting. You can grow those yourself inside. If you had a greenhouse even sometimes. You can do like kale and chard outside a lot of times in places. Sometimes if it gets into deep freezes, they don't work as well, but it's still cool. And you can actually freeze stuff too, honestly. You can freeze fruits, like you can freeze blueberries or raspberries or whatever, and they kind of get stuck in time there. So you could theoretically do that in the modern world.